first time Jessica told me she wanted to invite her ex-boyfriend to our wedding, I was underneath a 2015 Ford F-150, wrestling with a transmission that had more problems than our marriage was about to have. "Drew, are you listening?" Her voice floated down from somewhere above the creeper I was lying on, sweet as poisoned honey. I rolled out from under the truck, wiping grease off my hands with a rag that was already beyond saving. Jessica stood in the doorway of my garage, backlit by the afternoon sun, looking like she'd just stepped out of a magazine spread, which, knowing my wife, was exactly the look she was going for. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. "I heard you," I said, sitting up. "You want to invite Trevor to the wedding. Trevor Mason, your ex, the guy you dated for 3 years before we met. See? You were listening." She smiled that smile that used to make my heart skip. Now it just made my stomach turn. "I knew you'd understand. It's very mature of us, don't you think? It shows we're evolved." Evolved. That was Jessica's favorite word lately. Everything was about being evolved, being modern, being progressive. Never mind that 6 months ago she told me Trevor was toxic and manipulative, and she was so glad to be free of him. "And his wife?" I asked, standing up and tossing the rag onto my workbench. "Monica? She coming too?" Jessica's smile flickered. Just for a second, but I caught it. "Oh, Monica's out of the country. Some business thing in Europe. She won't be able to make it." "Huh." I grabbed a bottle of water from the mini fridge in the corner, taking my time unscrewing the cap. "That's convenient." "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Just seems convenient that Trevor's wife won't be there while he's at our wedding." "Our wedding, Jess. The one where we're supposed to be celebrating our commitment to each other." She crossed her arms, and I saw the first flash of the real Jessica underneath the sweet exterior. "You're being ridiculous. Trevor and I are just friends now. Ancient history. Miranda thinks it's a great idea." Of course Miranda thought it was a great idea. Miranda was Jessica's best friend and chief enabler, the kind of woman who thought drama was a spectator sport and she had front row seats. "Look," Jessica continued, softening her tone, "I just think it would be nice. Closure, you know? Plus, he's offering to help with some of the vendor connections through his real estate contacts. It could save us money." There it was, the real reason. Trevor Mason was a successful realtor, the kind of guy who wore suits that cost more than my monthly rent and drove a BMW he probably leased to look more successful than he actually was. And Jessica, my event planner wife who was obsessed with appearances, couldn't resist the opportunity to show off her mature, evolved relationship with her ex, while also getting some free networking out of it. "Fine," I said. "Invite him?" Her eyes widened. "Really?" "Sure, why not? It's your day, right?" I took a long drink of water, watching her over the rim of the bottle. "I'll even make sure he has a good seat." Jessica practically bounced on her heels. "Oh, Drew, thank you. I knew you'd understand. This is going to be perfect. Everyone's going to see how mature and secure we are." She kissed me on the cheek, careful not to get any grease on her designer blouse, and hurried back to her car. I watched her go, then turned back to the F-150. "Jerry," I called out, "you still here?" My garage assistant, a 60-something former Marine with a beer gut and a vocabulary that would make a sailor blush, emerged from the back office. "Yeah, boss, what's up?" "How good are you at detective work?" Jerry grinned, showing the gap where he'd lost a tooth in a bar fight back in '03. "Depends. Who we investigating?" "My wife's ex-boyfriend, and I need to know if his wife is really in Europe." It took Jerry exactly 45 minutes and 3 phone calls to find out that Monica Mason was not, in fact, in Europe. She was in Portland, Maine, about 30 miles north of our little coastal town, working at her law office like she did every weekday. "Your wife's a liar," Jerry announced, showing me his phone screen with Monica's Facebook check-in from that morning. "And not even a good one." I leaned against my workbench, processing this information. Jessica had lied. Not a little white lie, not an exaggeration, a straight-up, deliberate lie. Which meant whatever was happening with Trevor, it wasn't the innocent, let's be mature reunion she was selling. "Boss?" Jerry was looking at me with concern. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said slowly. "Yeah, I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than fine. I'm evolved." "The hell does that mean?" "It means I'm going to be very mature about this situation." I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through my contacts. In fact, I'm going to be so mature, I'm going to extend an invitation of my own. "To who?" "To Monica Mason. I think she deserves to know that her husband is going to be at my wedding. Don't you think that's the evolved thing to do? Jerry's grin could have lit up the entire garage. Boss, I take back every bad thing I ever said about you being too soft. You're a goddamn genius. I called Monica that evening after Jessica had gone to bed. I'd spent the dinner hours playing the supportive husband, listening to her chatter about seating arrangements and flower choices, and how wonderful it was that Trevor was going to be there. Every word out of her mouth made my jaw clench tighter, but I smiled and nodded and played my part. Monica answered on the third ring. Hello? Hi, Mrs. Mason. This is Drew Harris. I'm married to Jessica Lane. I believe you know her. She dated your husband before you two got married. There was a pause. I know who Jessica is. Why are you calling me? Her voice was cool, professional. Lawyer voice. I liked her already. Well, I wanted to personally invite you to our wedding. It's next Saturday at the Harborview Resort. Jessica invited your husband, and I thought it would be rude not to extend the invitation to you as well. After all, we're all adults here, all very mature and evolved. Another pause, longer this time. Jessica told you I was in Europe, didn't she? She did mention something like that. I see. I could hear the wheels turning in her head. Mr. Harris, can I ask you a question? Drew, and sure. Do you think your wife is having an affair with my husband? I'd been expecting the question, but hearing it out loud still hit different. I think something's going on that neither of us is being told the truth about, and I think we both deserve to know what that is. I agree. Her voice had gone from cool to cold. Text me the wedding details. I'll be there. Looking forward to it, Mrs. Mason. Monica and Drew, thank you for the call. Not many men would have the guts. I'm just being evolved, I said, and hung up before she could ask what the hell that meant. The next few days passed in a blur of wedding preparations and carefully maintained lies. Jessica was in her element, directing vendors and wedding party members like a general commanding troops. Miranda and her cousin Erin were constant fixtures at our house, the three of them huddled over Pinterest boards and vendor contracts, occasionally throwing out comments about how amazing it was that Trevor was coming. It really shows how secure you are, Miranda said one evening, giving me a look that was probably supposed to be approving but came across as condescending. Not every man would be comfortable with his wife staying friends with an ex. I'm very secure, I assured her, taking a beer from the fridge. In fact, I'm so secure, I invited someone special to be my +1. Jessica looked up from her laptop. What? Who? It's a surprise. You'll meet her at the rehearsal dinner. Her? Jessica's voice went up an octave. Drew, who did you invite? Someone I think will really appreciate the mature, evolved atmosphere we're creating. I took a long drink of my beer. Don't worry, you'll love her. She's a lawyer. I left the room before Jessica could interrogate me further, but I could feel her eyes boring into my back. Let her wonder. Let her worry. I'd spent the last week watching her lie to my face with a smile. Turnabout was fair play. Mrs. Samuels, our neighbor and the town's unofficial gossip network, caught me taking out the trash that night. She was a 70-something widow who spent her days watching the neighborhood like it was her personal reality TV show. Drew, honey, she called from her porch. I saw Jessica and that handsome realtor at the park last night. Having a meeting about the wedding? I paused, trash bag in hand. What time was this? Oh, around 9:30. They were sitting in his car, looked very intense. I'm sure it was just wedding business. I'm sure, I agreed. Thanks for letting me know, Mrs. Samuels. 9:30 at night. In his car, in the park. While Jessica had told me she was having drinks with Miranda. The pieces were falling into place, and the picture they were making was exactly what I'd suspected. I pulled out my phone and texted Monica. How's Thursday night for you? I think we need to compare notes before Saturday. Her response came back in under a minute. Name the place. The Harborview Resort was the nicest hotel in our town, which wasn't saying much. It was a renovated Victorian mansion overlooking the harbor, with enough charm to attract tourists and enough conference rooms to host weddings. Jessica had been planning this event for 6 months, and she'd made sure every detail was perfect. Too bad I was about to ruin it. The rehearsal dinner was set for Friday night, the day before the wedding. 25 guests, including the wedding party, both sets of parents, and a few close friends. Jessica had insisted on a formal dinner in the hotel's main dining room, complete with a carefully planned seating chart that put Trevor at a table with Miranda and Erin, safely away from me. What Jessica didn't know was that I'd called the hotel that morning and made a small adjustment to the seating arrangements. I arrived early, dressed in the suit Jessica had picked out for me. She'd insisted we coordinate, naturally. Frank, my best friend and the resort's head of security, met me in the lobby. You sure about this? Frank asked, adjusting his tie. He was built like a tank, 6'3" of solid muscle earned from his years in the Marines with Jerry. He'd taken the security job at the resort after his last deployment, looking for something quiet. Tonight was about to be anything but. Positive, I said. Monica's coming. She's already here, waiting in the bar like you asked. Frank grinned. This is going to be better than cable. Just make sure you keep Trevor from leaving before the main event, okay? Roger that, boss. I found Monica in the hotel bar, nursing a glass of white wine. She was a sharp-looking woman in her mid-30s, with dark hair pulled back in a bun and a navy dress that screamed professional competence. When she saw me, she stood and extended her hand. Drew, good to finally meet you in person. Likewise. We'd met for coffee on Thursday, spending 2 hours comparing stories and evidence. Monica had brought printouts of text messages she'd found on Trevor's phone. I'd brought screenshots of Jessica's late-night work meetings that didn't match up with her actual work calendar. By the end of our meeting, we'd both known the truth. Our spouses were having an affair, and they had been stupid enough to leave a trail. You ready for this? I asked. I've been ready since I found the first text message 3 weeks ago. She picked up her purse, a designer bag that probably cost more than my car payment. Let's go ruin a rehearsal dinner. The dining room was already filling up when we arrived. Jessica was holding court near the entrance, greeting guests in a cream-colored dress that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. She saw me first, smiled, then noticed Monica beside me. The smile froze. Drew, who's this? Jessica, this is Monica Mason, Trevor's wife. Monica, this is my wife, Jessica. I watched Jessica's face go through several emotions in rapid succession. Confusion, recognition, panic, and finally, forced pleasantness. Monica, what a surprise. I thought you were in Europe. Did you? Monica's voice was pleasant too, but there was steel underneath. How strange. I've been in Portland all week, working at my law office, where I work every week. Oh, well, I must have misunderstood. Where's Trevor? I interrupted. Monica's excited to see him, aren't you, Monica? Thrilled, Monica said flatly. Trevor chose that moment to arrive, flanked by Miranda and Aaron. He was exactly what I'd expected. Tall, tan, teeth too white to be natural, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. He had that real estate agent polish, the kind of guy who could sell you a house with termites and make you thank him for it. He saw Jessica first, started to smile, then saw Monica. The smile faded. Monica, what are you doing here? I was invited, Monica said pleasantly. By Drew. Wasn't that thoughtful? He wanted to make sure I could attend this mature, evolved celebration of his marriage to your ex-girlfriend. The temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Other guests were starting to notice the tension, conversations trailing off as people turned to watch. Trevor, Jessica said quickly, why don't we all sit down? I'm sure we can... Sit down? Monica's pleasant tone was gone. Oh, I think we're past sitting down. In fact, I think it's time we all had a very honest conversation. Don't you, Jessica? I don't know what you're talking about. Really, you don't? Monica opened her purse and pulled out a folder. Because I have about 50 text messages that suggest otherwise. Would you like me to read some of them? I have a few favorites. Jessica's face had gone pale. Trevor looked like he wanted to bolt. Miranda and Aaron were frozen, watching the scene unfold like spectators at a car crash. Monica, Trevor started, this isn't the place? Oh, I think this is exactly the place. Monica opened the folder. Let's see. Here's one from 2 weeks ago. Jessica to Trevor. Can't wait for the wedding. Drew has no idea. He's too busy with his little garage to notice anything. That's sweet, isn't it? Very evolved. Jessica made a sound like a wounded animal. You have no right. No right? Monica's voice rose. You're sleeping with my husband and I have no right? Let me read another one. This one's from Trevor. Once the wedding's over, we can figure out the divorce timeline. Drew's too soft to fight for anything. She looked up at me. Were they right about that, Drew? Are you too soft? Every eye in the room was on me. Jessica's parents had arrived and were standing near the door, her father's face turning purple. The wedding party was scattered around the room, phones out, probably recording. This was going to be all over social media within the hour. I looked at Jessica, really looked at her. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks, her perfect facade cracking. Part of me, the part that had loved her, that had proposed on a beach at sunset, that had spent months planning a future together, felt bad for her. But that part was getting smaller by the second. You know what, Monica, I said. I think I was too soft, but I'm feeling a lot harder now. Jessica's father pushed through the crowd. Richard Lane was a successful businessman, the kind of guy who thought money could solve any problem. Now wait just a minute. I don't know what kind of stunt you people are pulling, but this is my daughter's wedding. Actually, Mr. Lane, I interrupted, this is my wedding too, or it was supposed to be. But I'm thinking I might have to cancel. See, I'm not really comfortable marrying someone who's been planning her divorce before we even get married. Drew, please, Jessica sobbed, reaching for me. It's not what it looks like. We can talk about this. Talk? I stepped back from her outstretched hand. Like how we talked about inviting Trevor? When you told me Monica was in Europe? That kind of talk? Trevor finally found his voice. Look, man, this is all a misunderstanding. Is it? Monica turned on him. Which part? The part where you told Jessica I was out of the country so you could attend her wedding without me? Or the part where you've been meeting her at the park at night while I was working late? Or maybe the part where you used our joint credit card to buy her that necklace she's wearing right now? Jessica's hand flew to her throat, where a delicate gold necklace hung. I'd asked her about it last week. She'd said it was from her mother. The room erupted. Jessica's mother started crying. Miranda tried to defend Jessica, saying something about how complicated relationships were. Erin was filming everything on her phone. Other guests were whispering, pointing, and enjoying the show. Frank appeared at my elbow. You want me to clear the room? Not yet, I said. I think Mr. Lane wants to say something. Richard Lane was staring at his daughter with a mixture of fury and disappointment. Jessica Marie Lane, is this true? Jessica opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. I'll take that as a yes. Richard turned to me. Drew, I apologize. I had no idea my daughter was capable of this. If you'd like to discuss compensation for your trouble... Compensation? I laughed. It wasn't a nice sound. You want to pay me off? Like this is some kind of business deal? I just thought... I know what you thought. You thought you could throw money at the problem and make it go away, just like you've done with every problem in Jessica's life. I looked at Jessica, who was still crying, now being comforted by her mother. But I'm not a problem you can solve with a check, Mr. Lane. I'm the guy who was stupid enough to love your daughter, and you know what? I'm not for sale. I turned to Monica. Thank you for coming. I think we both got what we needed. Thank you for inviting me, she said. Trevor, I'll see you at home. We need to discuss our own divorce timeline. She walked out with her head high, leaving Trevor standing there like an idiot. I followed her, Frank clearing a path through the crowd. Behind me, I could hear Jessica calling my name, her father shouting, Miranda trying to spin some kind of explanation. I didn't look back. I spent Friday night at Frank's apartment, drinking beer and watching him play Call of Duty. Neither of us talked much about the rehearsal dinner. There wasn't much to say that hadn't already been said in front of 25 witnesses and God knows how many social media followers. My phone had been blowing up since I left the hotel. Calls from Jessica, texts from her friends, voicemails from her mother. I'd turned it on silent around midnight and tried to sleep on Frank's couch. Tried being the operative word. Around 3 a.m, I gave up and checked my messages. Most of them were predictable. Jessica begging for a chance to explain. Miranda claiming I'd overreacted. Erin telling me I was cruel for ambushing Jessica like that. But there was one message that caught my attention. It was from Mrs. Samuels, time-stamped at 11:47 p.m. Drew, honey, I just saw Jessica and that Miranda girl putting boxes in a U-Haul outside your house. Thought you should know. I sat up, fully awake now. Frank noticed from his gaming chair. What's up? Jessica's moving her stuff out. Good. Saves you the trouble of kicking her out. Yeah. I scrolled through more messages. Except the house is in both our names. And she's got keys to my garage and access to my bank accounts. Frank paused his game. You thinking what I'm thinking? That I need to get home before she cleans me out? Yeah. Want backup? Always. We got to my house around 4 a.m. The U-Haul was gone, but Jessica's car was still in the driveway. Lights were on inside. I used my key to open the front door, Frank behind me. The living room looked like a tornado had hit it. Furniture moved, pictures taken off walls, my stuff scattered everywhere. I could hear voices from the bedroom, Jessica and Miranda arguing about something. Just take it, Miranda was saying. He owes you after what he did. I don't know, Jessica's voice uncertain. What if he presses charges? For what? It's your house too. You have every right to take whatever you want. I walked into the bedroom. Jessica and Miranda were standing over my dresser, which was open, my watches and cufflinks spread out on the bed. They both jumped when they saw me. Drew. Jessica's eyes were red from crying. Her hair a mess. She looked nothing like the polished event planner from yesterday. What are you doing here? I live here. What are you doing here? I'm getting my things. Your things? I looked at the bed, at my watches, at the box Miranda was holding that had my grandfather's war medals in it. Those are my things. Well, I need money, Jessica said, defensive now. You humiliated me in front of everyone. The wedding's canceled. My father isn't speaking to me. I lost 3 clients today because of what you did. I need something to start over. So you're stealing from me? It's not stealing if we're married. Are we? I crossed my arms. Because I'm pretty sure you were planning to divorce me before we even got married. That's what the text said, right? Jessica's face crumpled. Drew, please, I made a mistake. Trevor and I, it was stupid. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything? You were planning our divorce. I was confused. I love you, Drew. I really do. We can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can... Get out. The words came out flat, final. Jessica stared at me. What? Get out of my house. Take your clothes, take your shoes, take whatever's actually yours. But leave my stuff alone, and leave your keys on the counter. Drew, you can't... I can, and I am. You want to know why? Because I'm done being soft. I'm done being the understanding husband while you and Trevor plan my future behind my back. I'm done being evolved. I looked at Miranda. And you can get out too. I know you were in on this. I know you've been covering for Jessica's late-night meetings with Trevor. Miranda had the decency to look embarrassed. I was just being a good friend. You were being an accomplice. Now get out before I call the cops and report you for theft. Frank appeared in the doorway, all 6'3" of him. Ladies, you heard the man. They left. Jessica tried to argue, tried to cry, tried to make me feel guilty. But I was past feeling guilty. I was past feeling much of anything except tired. After they were gone, I walked through the house, cataloging what was missing. Jessica had taken some jewelry, some electronics, some cash I'd kept in a drawer. Nothing I couldn't replace, nothing that mattered. Frank found me in the garage, sitting on my creeper, staring at the F-150 I still hadn't finished. You okay? He asked. I will be, I said. I just need to figure out my next move. Your next move? Brother, you already made your move. You exposed them, you kicked her out, you're done. No. I stood up, an idea forming. I'm not done, not even close. Saturday morning, I opened my garage at the usual time. Word had spread fast about the rehearsal dinner disaster. Mrs. Samuels had made sure of that, and I had a steady stream of customers coming in, some for legitimate repairs, some just to gawk and gossip. Jerry showed up with coffee and donuts. You're a legend, boss. The whole town's talking about it. Great, just what I wanted. Hey, you did the right thing. That woman was playing you. I know. Doesn't make it feel any better. Around noon, Trevor showed up. He was driving his BMW, the one he probably couldn't afford, and he parked it right in front of my garage bay. He got out wearing jeans and a polo shirt, trying to look casual and failing. Drew, we need to talk. I didn't look up from the brake job I was working on. No, we don't. Look, man, I know you're angry. Angry. I set down my wrench and stood up. Angry doesn't begin to cover it, Trevor. It was a mistake, okay? Jessica and I, we have history. It's complicated. Complicated. I wiped my hands on a rag. You know what's not complicated? You're a married man who was sleeping with my fiancée while lying to both of us. That's pretty simple. Monica and I were having problems. I don't care about your problems. I care that you came to my wedding, to my rehearsal dinner, planning to help my fiancée divorce me while pretending to be my friend. That's what I care about. Trevor's face flushed. You're making this a bigger deal than it needs to be. Jessica and I were just what? Just planning your future together, just using me as a placeholder until you could figure out your exit strategy. You're being dramatic. Something in me snapped. I'd been calm, I'd been reasonable, I'd been evolved. But looking at Trevor standing there in his designer jeans and his fake tan, making excuses, acting like I was the problem, I was done being calm. Get out of my garage. Excuse me? Get out of my garage. You can't talk to me like... I took a step toward him. I'm not a big guy, 5'10", maybe 170 soaking wet, but I'd spent 15 years working on cars, and my hands were strong from turning wrenches. Trevor was taller, but he was soft, the kind of guy who paid for a gym membership he never used. This is my property, I said quietly, and you're trespassing. So unless you want me to call the cops and explain how you're harassing me after sleeping with my fiancée, I suggest you get in your overpriced car and leave. Trevor opened his mouth, closed it, then turned and walked back to his BMW. But before he got in, he turned back. "You're going to regret this, Drew. Jessica and I are together now. We're going to make this work, and you're going to be the bitter ex who couldn't handle it." "We'll see," I said. He drove off, tires squealing. Jerry emerged from the office, where he'd been watching the whole thing. "You should have punched him," Jerry said. "Nah, I've got better plans." "Like what?" Like making sure everyone in this town knows exactly what kind of people Trevor Mason and Jessica Lane are." That evening, I met Monica at a coffee shop in Portland. She looked better than she had at the rehearsal dinner. More rested, less angry, more determined. "How are you holding up?" I asked. "Better now that I've filed for divorce." She smiled grimly. "My lawyer says it's going to be messy. Trevor's trying to claim I'm being unreasonable." "Unreasonable? He cheated on you?" "I know, but he's got a good lawyer, and he's claiming the affair was just emotional, that nothing physical happened." She made air quotes, as if that makes it better. "What do you need from me?" "Evidence. Anything you have that proves the affair was physical. Texts, photos, witnesses. My lawyer says if I can prove adultery, I'll have a much stronger case." I pulled out my phone. "I've got something better. Remember how I said Jessica and Trevor were meeting at the park at night?" "Yeah." "Well, Mrs. Samuels isn't the only one who saw them. Frank did too. He was doing a security check at the resort one night and saw Trevor's car in the parking lot. He took photos, time-stamped, dated, everything." Monica's eyes lit up. "Can you get me copies?" "Already done." I handed her a USB drive. There's also some screenshots of Jessica's calendar showing work meetings that don't match up with her actual client list. And a recording. "A recording?" "Yeah. See, when Jessica and I were doing wedding prep, we set up a baby monitor in the living room so we could hear if anyone came to the door while we were upstairs. I forgot to take it down. And Jessica forgot it was there. So when she and Trevor had a conversation last week about their plans, well, the monitor caught everything." Monica stared at me. "Drew, this is probably not admissible in court," I admitted. "But it'll sure as hell make Trevor nervous. And nervous people make mistakes. You're devious." "I'm evolved," I said, and we both laughed. The next few days were a blur. Monica's lawyer served Trevor with divorce papers. Jessica's father cut her off financially after learning the full extent of her affair. Miranda got fired from her job at a local marketing firm after her boss found out she'd been using company resources to help plan Jessica's wedding and her affair. And me? I kept working, kept fixing cars, kept my head down and my ears open. Mrs. Samuels kept me updated on the gossip. Jessica had moved in with Aaron. Trevor was staying at a hotel because Monica had changed the locks. The wedding venue was suing Jessica for breach of contract. 3 more of her clients had dropped her. "She's ruined," Mrs. Samuels said with satisfaction, standing at my garage door with a casserole she'd brought me. "Absolutely ruined, and that Trevor too. I heard his boss at the real estate office isn't happy about the publicity." "That's too bad," I said, not meaning it. "You're handling this well, Drew. Very mature." "I'm trying to be evolved, Mrs. Samuels." She patted my arm. "You're a good boy. You deserve better than that woman." I was starting to think she was right. 2 weeks after the rehearsal dinner, I got a call from a detective at the local police station. My stomach dropped. Had Trevor or Jessica filed some kind of complaint? "Mr. Harris, this is Detective Walsh. I need to ask you some questions about an incident involving your wife." "Ex-wife," I corrected. "What kind of incident?" "She's filed a report claiming you've been harassing her, threatening phone calls, showing up at her workplace, that sort of thing." "That's not true. I haven't contacted her since I kicked her out of my house." "Can you prove that?" "I can show you my phone records. I haven't called her once." "What about showing up at her workplace?" "I don't even know where she's working now. Last I heard, she'd lost most of her clients." There was a pause. "Mr. Harris, I'm going to be straight with you. This sounds like a false report to me, but I need to investigate it properly. Can you come down to the station and give a statement?" "When?" "How about now?" At the police station, I learned the full extent of Jessica's plan. She'd filed a report claiming I'd been stalking her, making threatening phone calls, and sending harassing text messages. She'd even provided evidence, screenshots of text messages supposedly from my number, saying things like, "You'll regret what you did," and "I'll make you pay." The problem was, I'd never sent those messages. Detective Walsh, a tired-looking man in his 50s, studied the screenshots. "These are from your number?" "That's my number, but I didn't send those messages." "Can you prove that?" "Check my phone records. The real ones from my carrier. Those messages aren't there." Walsh nodded. "We will. But Mr. Harris, I have to ask, why would your wife fake this? Ex-wife. And I can think of a few reasons. She's facing a lawsuit from the wedding venue. She's lost her business. Her father cut her off. Maybe she thinks if she can make me look like the bad guy, she can get some sympathy. Or maybe she's trying to set up some kind of lawsuit against me. Or, Walsh said slowly, maybe she's trying to cover for something else. Like what? Like the fact that she and her boyfriend have been planning to file a false abuse claim against you to strengthen her position in the divorce. I stared at him. How do you know that? Walsh pulled out another piece of paper. Because someone sent us this. It's a recording of a conversation between your wife and Trevor Mason, discussing exactly that plan. Know anything about it? I looked at the paper. It was a transcript of the baby monitor recording, the one I'd given to Monica. Where did you get this? Anonymous tip. Came in yesterday. Walsh leaned back in his chair. Mr. Harris, I'm going to be honest with you. If this recording is legitimate, your wife and her boyfriend are in serious trouble. Filing a false police report is a crime. Conspiracy to file a false abuse claim is even worse. Is it legitimate? We're having it analyzed, but it looks real to me? He studied me. You seem like a smart guy. You know anything about how this recording might have been made? I might have had a baby monitor in my living room during wedding planning. I might have forgotten to take it down, and I might have forgotten to turn it off. Walsh's lips twitched. That's convenient. Isn't it? Mr. Harris, you're free to go. I don't think we'll be pursuing this harassment claim, but I'd advise you to be careful. Your wife and Mr. Mason seem determined to cause you trouble. I'll keep that in mind, Detective. I called Monica as soon as I left the station. Did you send that recording to the police? I might have, she said. My lawyer thought it would be useful for establishing a pattern of behavior. Why? Are you mad? Mad? No, I'm impressed. Good, because I have more news. Trevor's real estate license is under review. Apparently there were some complaints about his business practices, inflating property values, hiding defects from buyers, that sort of thing. His boss is cooperating with the investigation to save the company's reputation. How did that happen? I might have mentioned some things to the right people, and by right people, I mean the State Real Estate Commission. I laughed. Monica, you're vicious. I prefer thorough. Trevor spent our entire marriage telling me I was too focused on my career, that I should be more supportive of him. Turns out my career is very useful when it comes to destroying his. What about Jessica? What about her? She's got to be desperate by now. No money, no clients, no father paying her bills. She's going to try something. Let her try, Monica said. We've got evidence of everything. If she makes another move, we'll bury her. But I wasn't so sure. Desperate people did desperate things, and Jessica had always been good at playing the victim. I found out just how desperate she was the next night. I was closing up the garage around 7 when Trevor's BMW pulled up. But Trevor wasn't driving. Jessica was. She got out of the car, and I barely recognized her. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes wrinkled, her makeup smeared. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Drew, please, I need to talk to you. I don't think that's a good idea, Jess. Please. She was crying now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. I made a terrible mistake. Trevor and I, it's over. He's horrible. He used me. I should have seen it, but I didn't, and now everything's falling apart and I don't know what to do. Despite everything, I felt a twinge of sympathy. She looked genuinely broken. What do you want from me? I want to fix this. I want us to try again. I know I don't deserve it, but Drew, we were good together. We can be good again. Jessica, I'll do anything. Counseling, therapy, whatever you want. Just please give me another chance. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw what I should have seen months ago. The manipulation, the performance, the carefully crafted vulnerability designed to get what she wanted. No, I said. What? No, I'm not giving you another chance. I'm not going to counseling. I'm not going to therapy. I'm done. Her tears stopped instantly. Just like that, the broken woman disappeared, replaced by something cold and angry. Fine, she said. I tried to do this the nice way. But if you won't help me, I'll find another way. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're going to regret this, Drew. You and that snake Monica. You think you're so smart, exposing us, ruining our lives. But I'm not done yet. She got back in Trevor's car and drove off, tires squealing. Jerry came out of the office. Boss, I recorded that whole conversation on my phone. Good, I said. Send it to Monica's lawyer and to Detective Walsh. You think she's going to try something? I know she is, and I want to be ready. The next day was Saturday, which would have been my wedding day. I'd planned to spend it working, trying to keep my mind off what I'd lost, but Frank had other ideas. "You're coming to the park," he said, showing up at my garage at 9 in the morning. "Why?" "Because there's something you need to see." The park was crowded for a Saturday morning. Families with kids, joggers, people walking dogs. Frank led me to the pavilion near the pond, where a crowd had gathered. In the center of the crowd were Jessica and Trevor, holding signs. "Justice for Jessica," one sign read. "Stop domestic abuse," read another. Jessica was giving an interview to a local news reporter, crying as she spoke. "And I just want people to know that domestic abuse can happen to anyone. My ex-fiancé seemed like a good man, but behind closed doors he was controlling, manipulative, violent." I started forward, but Frank grabbed my arm. "Wait. Wait? She's lying to a reporter." "I know, just wait." The reporter was nodding sympathetically, asking Jessica questions about her ordeal. Trevor stood beside her, playing the supportive boyfriend. A few people in the crowd were filming on their phones. Then Monica appeared. She walked straight up to Jessica, calm and professional in a pantsuit, carrying a folder. "Excuse me, Jessica. I'm Monica Mason, Trevor's wife. Can I ask you a few questions?" Jessica's face went pale. "I don't have to talk to you." "You don't. But I think this reporter might be interested in some information I have." Monica turned to the reporter. "Hi, I'm Monica Mason. I'm a lawyer here in Portland, and I have evidence that everything this woman just told you is a lie." The reporter's eyes lit up. "Evidence?" "Yes, including recordings of Ms. Lane and my husband planning to file false abuse claims against her ex-fiancé. Also, police reports showing that Ms. Lane has already filed one false harassment claim that was dismissed, and text messages showing that Ms. Lane was having an affair with my husband while engaged to Mr. Harris." Jessica tried to grab the folder. "You can't." "I can. It's all public record now." Monica handed papers to the reporter. "Ms. Lane isn't a victim. She's a liar who's trying to destroy a good man's reputation to cover up her own mistakes." The crowd was murmuring now, phones out, recording everything. Jessica looked around wildly, realizing she was trapped. "This is harassment," Trevor shouted. "You can't just—" "I'm not harassing anyone. I'm providing factual information to a reporter. That's called free speech." Detective Walsh appeared, along with 2 uniformed officers. "Ms. Lane, Mr. Mason, we need to talk to you about filing false police reports." Jessica tried to run. Actually tried to run, like this was some kind of movie. She made it about 10 feet before Frank stepped in front of her, arms crossed. "Going somewhere?" he asked. The police took Jessica and Trevor away in separate cars. The reporter was already on her phone, probably calling her editor. The crowd was buzzing with excitement, everyone talking at once. Monica walked over to where Frank and I were standing. "Well, that was satisfying." "You planned this," I said. "I did. I knew Jessica would try something desperate, so I had Frank monitor her social media, found out about this little publicity stunt, and arranged to be here with evidence." She smiled. "My lawyer says we can probably sue her for defamation now. Trevor, too." "You're scary," Frank said admiringly. "Thank you." I looked at the pavilion, where Jessica's signs were lying abandoned on the ground. "Is it over?" "Not quite," Monica said, "but we're close." The next week was chaos. The local news ran the story of Jessica's false abuse claims. The video of Monica confronting her went viral on social media. Jessica and Trevor were charged with filing false police reports and conspiracy to commit fraud. Jessica's remaining clients dropped her. Trevor's real estate license was suspended pending investigation. Erin, who'd been filming Jessica's protest and posting it online, got fired from her job for bringing negative attention to the company. Miranda, trying to distance herself from the disaster, gave an interview claiming she'd always had doubts about Jessica's story. Nobody believed her. And me, I kept working, kept fixing cars, kept living my life, until Trevor showed up at my garage one last time. It was a Thursday evening, almost closing time. I was finishing up a brake job when I heard his BMW pull up. I sighed, set down my tools, and walked out to meet him. Trevor got out of his car, and he looked terrible. Unshaven, wrinkled clothes, dark circles under his eyes. The polished realtor was gone, replaced by a desperate man. "Drew, we need to talk." "I think we've talked enough, Trevor. Please, just 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I nodded. 5 minutes. "I'm sorry," he said. "For everything. For the affair, for the lies, for trying to ruin your life. I was wrong. Jessica and we were wrong." "Okay. Okay, that's it?" "What do you want me to say? That I forgive you? I don't. That I understand? I don't. You made your choices, Trevor. Now you get to live with the consequences. But my career is over. My marriage is over. I'm probably going to jail. Yeah, that's what happens when you lie to the police and try to frame someone for abuse. It was Jessica's idea. I don't care whose idea it was. You went along with it. You could have said no at any point, but you didn't. You chose to be a coward. Trevor's face flushed. You think you're so much better than me? You're just a mechanic. You work in a garage. You'll never be anything more than that. You're right, I said calmly. I'm just a mechanic. I work in a garage. I get dirty. I fix things. I go home tired every night. But you know what? I sleep fine. Can you say the same? Trevor's flush deepened. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. Go home, Trevor. Or go to your hotel, or wherever you're staying now. But get off my property and don't come back. He left, tires squealing. I watched him go, then went back inside to finish the brake job. Jerry was grinning. You're my hero, boss. I'm nobody's hero. I'm just tired. Still, you handled that like a champ. I handled it like a mechanic, which is what I am. But as I locked up the garage that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. Not happiness, not satisfaction, just peace. The kind that comes from knowing you did the right thing, even when it was hard. 3 weeks later, on a Thursday night that felt like it had been pulled straight from a Stephen King novel, all dark clouds and distant thunder, I was closing up the garage when Frank called. Drew, you need to get to the Harborview Resort, now. Why? What's happening? Jessica and Trevor are here. They're causing a scene in the parking lot. Hotel management called me, and I think this is about to get ugly. I grabbed my keys and drove to the resort faster than I should have. When I arrived, I found a crowd gathered in the parking lot, phones out, filming. In the center of the crowd were Jessica and Trevor, both clearly drunk, screaming at each other. Your fault, Jessica was shouting. You said this would work. You said we'd be together. I never promised you anything, Trevor shot back. You're the one who couldn't keep your mouth shut. Frank saw me and waved me over. They've been at it for 20 minutes. Hotel wants them gone, but they won't leave. Where's Monica? On her way. I called her too. Jessica saw me. Her eyes lit up with a manic gleam. Drew, tell them. Tell them how you ruined everything. I walked closer, careful to stay out of arm's reach. I didn't ruin anything, Jess. You did that yourself. No. You brought Monica to the rehearsal dinner. You exposed us. You destroyed my life. You destroyed your own life when you decided to cheat on me with a married man? It was love. She was crying now, mascara running down her face. We were in love. You wouldn't understand. You've never loved anyone but yourself. That's not true. I loved you. Right up until I found out you were planning to divorce me before we even got married. Trevor stepped forward, swaying slightly. This is all your fault, Harris. If you'd just been man enough to keep your woman happy, none of this would have happened. Something in me snapped. Not anger, exactly. More like a release of all the frustration and hurt I'd been holding in for weeks. You want to talk about being a man, Trevor? Let's talk about it. A real man doesn't sleep with someone else's fiancée. A real man doesn't lie to his wife. A real man doesn't file false police reports when he gets caught. You're not a man, Trevor. You're a coward in an expensive suit. Trevor lunged at me. He was drunk and uncoordinated, and I saw it coming a mile away. I sidestepped, and he stumbled past me, falling face first into a puddle. The crowd laughed. Someone shouted, "World Star!" Trevor got up, mud covering his front, and charged again. This time I didn't move. I caught him, using his momentum to spin him around and shove him back toward his car. He hit the BMW's hood and slid down, landing on his ass in another puddle. Stay down, I said. You're embarrassing yourself. Jessica screamed and came at me, nails out like claws. I caught her wrists, holding her at arm's length while she thrashed and screamed. Let me go. Let me go, you bastard. Monica arrived, pushing through the crowd. She took one look at the scene and started laughing. Actually laughing, head thrown back. The kind of genuine amusement you can't fake. Oh my God, she said. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Monica! Trevor struggled to his feet. Help me. He attacked me. He attacked you? Trevor, there are 50 people here with cameras. We all saw you attack him first. But nothing. You're done, Trevor. We're done. The divorce papers are signed. I got the house, I got the car, and I got to watch you fall in a puddle. This is the best day I've had in months. Jessica was still struggling in my grip. Drew, please, we can still fix this. We can still be together. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. No love, no hate, not even pity. Just nothing. No, we can't, I said quietly. Because you're not the person I thought you were, and I'm done pretending that you are. I let go of her wrists. She stumbled back, caught herself, then stood there staring at me with tears streaming down her face. I hate you, she whispered. I know, but I don't hate you, Jess. I just don't care anymore. Frank and hotel security escorted Jessica and Trevor off the property. The crowd dispersed, everyone talking excitedly about what they'd just witnessed. Monica and I stood in the parking lot watching the rain start to fall. Feel better? She asked. Yeah, I said. I really do. Good, because I have one more surprise for you. What's that? She pulled out her phone and showed me an email. Trevor's real estate company settled with all the clients he defrauded. He's personally liable for $200,000 in damages. His bank accounts are frozen, his assets are being seized, and he's probably going to jail for fraud. And Jessica? She's being sued by the wedding venue for breach of contract. She's also being sued by 3 former clients for mismanagement of their events, and she's facing criminal charges for the false police reports. Her lawyer says she's looking at possible jail time. I let that sink in. It's over. It's over, Monica agreed. We won. No, I said. We survived. That's different. Monica smiled. You're right, but surviving is enough. The next day, I opened my garage at the usual time. Mrs. Samuels came by with a casserole and the latest gossip. Jerry showed up with coffee and terrible jokes. Customers came and went, some wanting repairs, some wanting to hear about the incident. At the hotel. Around noon, Frank stopped by. You okay? Yeah, I'm good. You sure? Last night was pretty intense? I'm sure. It's over, Frank. Really over. Jessica and Trevor are facing charges. Monica's got her divorce, and I can finally move on. What are you going to do now? I looked around my garage, at the cars waiting to be fixed, at the tools I'd collected over 15 years, at the business I'd built from nothing. I'm going to keep doing what I do. Fix cars, live my life, maybe eventually date again, when I'm ready. That's it? That's it. No revenge plots, no drama, no games, just living. Frank grinned. You're a better man than me. I'd want to burn their houses down. Nah, they're doing a fine job of destroying themselves. They don't need my help. 2 months later, I was working on a transmission when a woman walked into my garage. She was about my age, pretty, with short dark hair and an easy smile. Are you Drew Harris? That's me. What can I do for you? I'm Sarah Mitchell. I'm a reporter for the Portland Press-Herald. I'm doing a story about people who've overcome difficult situations with grace and dignity. Your name came up. I laughed. Grace and dignity? You sure you have the right guy? I'm sure. I talked to Monica Mason. She said you handled a terrible situation with remarkable maturity. She said you could have destroyed your ex-fiancée and her boyfriend, but instead, you just exposed the truth and let the consequences play out naturally. I don't know about that. I just did what I had to do. That's exactly what Monica said you'd say. Sarah pulled out a notebook. Would you be willing to talk to me, just for a few minutes? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to say no, to leave the whole mess in the past where it belonged. But another part, the part that had spent weeks being called a liar and an abuser, wanted people to know the truth. Okay, I said, but I've got a condition. What's that? You tell the whole story. Not just my side, not just their side. The whole truth, including the parts that make me look bad. Sarah smiled. Deal. We talked for an hour. I told her everything. The affair, the lies, the rehearsal dinner, the false police reports, the final confrontation. She took notes, asked good questions, and didn't try to make me into a hero or a victim. Just a guy who'd been through something difficult and come out the other side. When we were done, she closed her notebook. Thank you for your honesty. I think this is going to be a really good story. When will it run? Next Sunday, front page of the lifestyle section. After she left, I went back to work. The transmission wasn't going to fix itself, and I had customers waiting. But for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe, like the weight I'd been carrying was finally lifting. The article ran the following Sunday. It was fair, balanced, and honest. It told the story of a man who'd been betrayed, who'd exposed the truth, and who'd chosen to move forward rather than seek revenge. It also told the story of Jessica and Trevor, their lies, their schemes, and the consequences they were now facing. My phone rang all day with people calling to say they'd read it, that they were proud of me, that I'd done the right thing. Mrs. Samuels brought me another casserole. Jerry bought me a 6-pack. Frank took me out for dinner, and Monica sent me a text. "You're officially famous. How does it feel?" I texted back, "Exhausting, but good. Good. You deserve good things, Drew. Don't forget that." I wouldn't. Not anymore. 6 months later, I was closing up the garage on a Friday evening when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello? Drew? It's Jessica." I froze. I hadn't heard from her since the night at the hotel. "What do you want?" I wanted to call and say I'm sorry for everything. I know it doesn't change anything, but I needed you to know." "Where are you calling from?" "County jail. I'm serving 6 months for the false police reports. Trevor got a year for fraud." "I heard. I deserved it. I deserve all of it. I was awful to you, Drew. You were good to me, and I threw it away for someone who didn't care about me at all." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to tell her I forgave her, that I hoped she found peace. But another part, the part that remembered the lies, the betrayal, the attempts to destroy my reputation, couldn't quite get there. "I hope you figure things out, Jess. I really do. But I can't be part of your life anymore." "I know. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. And that you were right. About everything." She hung up. I stood there in my garage, phone in hand, feeling nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no vindication. Just nothing. And that, I realized, was exactly how it should feel. She was my past, and I was done living there. I locked up the garage, got in my truck, and drove home. The sun was setting over the harbor, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It was beautiful, and for the first time in a long time, I could actually appreciate it. Some guests don't deserve an invitation, some parties are better when canceled, and some endings, no matter how messy, are really just new beginnings in disguise. I'd survived, I'd moved on, and that was enough.